Alright, y'all, we're back making another video on the wife's truck. The last video you guys have saw of this truck was me putting on these lights, and that video didn't do too bad, but I've been having a problem with the truck the last couple of days where the transmission temperature gets really hot. And of course out here in Arizona it's pretty hot to begin with, but your transmission temperature really should not be getting over, I don't know, 170 degrees out here without towing on the freeway, just cruising about 65, 70. Right now it's been getting up to about 205, and obviously that's way too hot for me. So I changed the fluid a couple weeks ago, trying to see if that would help, because it'd been about 100,000 miles before it's been done the last time. That did not work, obviously. I didn't kind of think it would, but I figured I'd start there since it was the easiest option. The next logical step for me is to replace the cooler bypass line, and I'll show you what that is here on the new part. That is this guy here, and I'll show you where it's at up underneath the truck here in just a minute. But you have these couple of lines here, these fittings. I'll show you this one because this is the main one. You have kind of this check ball in here. You also have one in here that also has to open. And what this does is, if your oil cooler for your transmission fluid cooler ever clogs up, that will keep your fluid routing back to the oil pan, so that you don't run your transmission with no oil getting to the back end of the transmission gear sets, or the clutch packs rather. I've seen kits, you can get rid of these. Basically what it does is it takes and shortens up this fitting, gets rid of these holes here, and then you don't have this line when you go back together. The problem with them is when you do that, you basically have robbed your transmission of fluid instead of it just getting hot. The idea behind this line is so when your transmission cooler gets plugged up, or if, this line will allow your fluid, instead of going out into your transmission cooler, it will bypass it right back to the pan. And what that does is it allows the transmission to keep continually getting the fluid that it needs. And if you're watching your transmission temperature like you should be while you're towing, you would know to pull over or get somewhere where you can pull over and figure out what's going on with the transmission, rather than it just completely destroying your transmission. So let me crawl underneath the truck and I'll show you underneath there. Real quick before I climb underneath there though, the line that goes into this fitting here, you're going to need a 5/8 wrench for that. And then this fitting itself, you're going to need a 7/8 wrench. So let me climb underneath the truck and show you from there. Alright, now that we are underneath the truck, I will show you where this line is at. And just so you know, this is the front of the vehicle. This is your engine oil pan, and then you have your transmission oil pan. We're on the passenger side, and on the side of the transmission, I'll show you the front line first. You can kind of see it right up in there. I'll see if I can get like a pointer to point at it. And then back here, this one's obviously a little easier to get to. It is that guy right there that the light is on. So what you're going to do is you're going to back off this nut for your line here, and then you're going to pull basically this line out. You're going to take this nut off, and then this fitting and this line will come out of the transmission. And what I would recommend, like a dummy, I forgot them up here. What I would recommend is you take some of these little snack bags. I think these ones are called like almond bags or something, and a couple zip ties. And when you get underneath here and you take this line out of that fitting over here, right there, throw one of those bags and a zip tie on it, and it's gonna make a mess no matter what you do, but do the best you can. I do this to kind of try to avoid draining as much fluid as possible, but anyway, let's get at it.